wanting to catch a mess, keep the pain through the hurt. Just wanting to catch a mess, keep on hustling, putting work. Just wanting to catch a mess, stand tall and fight back. Let them know you ain't gotta live like that. Catch a mess, keep the pain through the hurt. Just wanting to catch a mess, keep on hustling, putting work. Just wanting to catch a mess, stand tall and fight back. Let them know you ain't gotta live like that.
I look around like where the good times at. I just wanna bring the good times back. And if the good die young, why am I still alive? Maybe I deserve that fact. And the stars only shine when the dark come. Got me thinking about where I got my start from. We the new breed, who are we? We the lost ones. We the generation that embrace it like an art form. Here we go. And if we sitting in a tight spot, then you in the right spot. Man, I swear to God, I've been there. One shot like stop. Shot I lost a lot of homies that were here and they vanished in the thin air. Yeah, it's like a roll of the dice. Pay the ultimate price. So do you stand up and fight? Do you throw in the towel and say, I'm out or stand tall and prepare for the fight of your life? See me, I still battle with a...
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the No More Heroin Survivor Series. I'm your host, Higgy. The Survivor Series is an inspirational video series that showcases people that have overcome seemingly insurmountable odds to have and live a life of purpose and destiny. These guys are heroes in our community, and they come from all walks of life, every aspect of life, trauma, addiction, recovery, not recovery, spiritual, non-spiritual. You know, we got professionals coming on here. We got athletes, musicians. We got everybody. And I want to give them all props for being transparent and sharing their pain so that it may help someone else in their struggle with whatever they're going through in life, addiction, trauma, broken relationships, you know, just not being happy, you know. What was I going to say? Tonight I have an amazing guest. My buddy Garold Vallie is a professional skateboarder. He's an X Games competitor. He's a motivational speaker. He's a podcast host. He's a musician. He is an author. He is amazing. You're gonna get a lot out of this live tonight. And Garold is one of the most genuine people I know. He's the most spiritually fit, and he's enthusiastic. So I'm going to bring my buddy Garold on. Please, if you would, please give us a share. If you're watching live, you see the live button over here. Drop a hashtag live. If you're catching the replay, drop a hashtag replay. And hey, sober is the new cool is in the house. Hi, Kim. I love you. Deanne, I'm sorry. Good. I'm glad to see you. Thank you for being here. Jamie Boyd. How are you, my friend? I love you. Janet McClanahan. It's always good to see you, my friend. Live. Okay, guys, I'm going to bring in Garold, and we're gonna jump right into this. Welcome, Garold. Welcome, bro. G Vallie. So I said all these nice things about you, but you know, I love you, man. I really do. You've been a really, really positive influence in my life. And I was telling them beforehand that you are one of the most spiritually fit guys I know. It's like you're always on a natural high. You know, whatever life throws at you, you're going through some troubling times right now, but you deal with it accordingly. And it's not stopping you from what you're trying to accomplish in your life. You know, it's just another roadblock. And I draw a lot of inspiration from our conversations and the things you post, and just having you in my life is a real benefit for me. We're streaming live to Higgy 2.0, the Survivor Series live page, and our YouTube channel. So I want to welcome everybody on all those platforms as well. So I gave you all these accolades, all your accomplishments, but that's not who you are. Who is Garold Vallie? I can't wait to get in your heart and your head again, because I always walk away from our conversations feeling so much better than when I walked in, because you know we all got our own stuff. But when you have a positive influence, that energy, bro, you know what I mean? And even this right here, this is energy. You know, I got this visual on you. We haven't seen each other for a minute, right?
Right.
It's been a little bit, but you look the same. You're looking well. You look happy, man. What's up with that?
You know, well, thank you for having me on, Higgy. Thank you for the very kind words opening. I do appreciate it. I want to, you know, I was talking about this earlier today, and I've been sober 2 years. I wouldn't talk about it publicly for 2 years, and I came on the air with you. That was the first time I ever talked about it publicly. And I had been sober for 2 years. We got a great response. And since then, we've done some really cool stuff. I'm wearing this hat, the Driven, and that's Andy Roy and I did an interview with you. Andy Roy's got a model out on the Driven, so I thought it'd be cool to wear this hat tonight.
Love Andy Roy. Love Andy Roy.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's crazy, and now he's sober and crazy, so that's cool. That's cool for him. But it's just living one day at a time, man. That's what it is, and each day is another opportunity. And I don't know what's going to come my way. I really don't. We don't. None of us do. But I know that through my routine, my practices, the things that I do each day, from meditation to stretching my body to talking to myself, as far as health goes in the morning, and waking up in gratitude, those are the things that are important to me. And all this other stuff's rad, like I'm stoked that I've had the opportunity to experience life at the level that I have. But I was with a friend last night, as I was telling you off the air. I was meeting with a gentleman last night, young guy having some trouble, and we sat for 2 hours just talking. And I said, the most important thing to me are the little things, remembering where I lay my head at night, waking up and knowing where I went to bed the night before, that I have air to breathe, that I get to speak with you, that I get to pick up a phone and call my mom or my dad, or those things are so important to me now, and everything else is just a bonus. It's a bonus that
it's living in gratitude, right?
100% all the time, even on my worst days. I don't have bad days anymore, but the days that might be a little challenging, I walk out the door and just look up and say thank you, because 6 years ago, I was this close away from not having those opportunities anymore. And I might get choked up because it's important to me now that I'm alive, and I get to do what I do. And if it means, being a fry cook at McDonald's, I'm going to be stoked on that, because I get to do it. I get the opportunity. I don't have to do it. I get to do it. And that's
life happens for us, not to us, right?
Pardon me?
Life happens for us, not to us.
100%, man, 100%. And having friends like you, other friends in the sober community, the Ohio contingent down there, Jeff Schill, and all the guys from Lifehouse. So many rad people. There's some rad, historically legendary pro skateboarders who are now getting sober at like 55, 56, sending me little messages. Dude, I got 90 days in. And it's so rad to have them think of me. Like when they think of that, I got to get a hold of Garold and let them know. And I don't, it's, recovery isn't like my soapbox every minute of every day of every post I put up. It's just motivation and helping people become the best version of themselves. And for me, recovery is the reason. It's the biggest reason I evolved into the best version of myself.
Yeah, you took out all the toxic traits and activities and invested in self-improvement.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're 4 years sober, right?
Huh?
You're 4 years sober?
Shit, just 5.5. It'll be
5.5.
It'll be 6 years of continuous sobriety from vodka, which
is some hard stuff for Garold, y'all.
On February 2nd will be 6 years.
That's fantastic, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping me sober today and supporting what we do here. And you were talking about how you start your day. What does that look like?
My day, and actually we'll talk about my new book coming out, but there's a chapter in there about morning routine, morning ritual. And, I get up in the morning and I spend 3 minutes in gratitude. And again, I'm thankful for everything and every person in my life, even some of the challenging people in my life. I'm so thankful for them, that they're a part of my life, because I have an opportunity to learn. And, I wake up, I do a little yoga. After the gratitude, I make my cup of coffee. I love hot showers. I take a hot shower, and then normally I will lay back down for about a half-hour meditation to lay out what my day looks like before I even get there, how my day is going to go, what I'm going to do. And then depending on the day or my thoughts, I will sit down and journal a little bit. And it might be ideas I have for some other stuff. It may be how I'm feeling that morning. It could be a little bit of anything, but writing stuff down, positive or negative, has a huge impact on our subconscious mind, especially goals and different things like that. Even if you're frustrated, if you write down your frustration, there's something that gets lifted from you. You don't feel the need to take it out on the driver on the road when you're road raging if you write it down. And so I try to write some stuff down. And I want to thank everybody for the congratulations down there. Our community is the reason I'm here today. Our community is, our relationship, the relationships I have with other like-minded individuals, and even my friends who like to go out and get loose on the weekends. They know that they'll be the ones calling me, hey, is it okay if I give so-and-so your number? I'm like, yeah, give them my number, man. Or a friend of theirs is having a little hard time. And I'm like, but I'm just glad you thought of me, man. That's cool. Go ahead and give them my number. We'll see if we can't get them pointed in the right direction,
Absolutely. So how did you get involved with this holistic approach to your recovery and your well-being and your self-improvement? How did that all start? Because I know you're a spiritual guy. You're not quote unquote religious, but you believe, and you have your own belief system that has worked out well for you. And maybe someone out there is struggling with finding identity, finding purpose in their life, and you have found it. You have found it. You've nailed it, and you've accomplished so much with this mindset that your practices have given you. And I'd like for you to explain that to the folks that are watching.
Well, it started years ago. Even when I was drinking, I was still like researching Buddhism and Eastern philosophy and different things like that. And when I did get sober, that like got kicked up a whole bunch of notches, man, because now I could retain it. And it wasn't just I can't say it was a front before, but it was like real and tangible. And I started studying Buddhism, and I started studying Lao Tzu and Taoism. And even I love the freaking Hindus, man. They got 10 million gods. They got one for everything. And I love Ganesha, the elephant god, is like I have pictures of them all over my house. And so different things resonated with me, but not just one thing. And I was fortunate to study with a gentleman named Miles Neal, who is like top 5 Buddhist in the country or something. And he's this tattooed sort of punk rock dude, Right. And just spirituality is very important to me. And I'm down, like I've read the Bible a few times. Like I dig it a lot, and I think it all is intertwined and interconnected, as we all are on this planet. In my humble belief system, I think we're all interconnected, that whole butterfly effect. I have a thought about you. You're going to feel that. You are going to feel that one way, shape, or form. And it just started I kept researching more, and it started enveloping my life, and meditation became important to me, from laying out how I wanted my day to look to just relaxing and chilling out. And now my doctor keeps telling me my blood pressure is too low. He's like, you got low blood pressure, man.
You're too chill, bro. You're too chill.
Yeah. But yet I'll go out and rock my drums, ride my skateboard, go bike 10 miles. And he's like, eat more salt, man. Your blood pressure's a little low. I said, I love ramen noodles, man. What's up? But no, it's just been an evolution, Higgy. It really has. And I'm a big proponent of the law of attraction, that you attract exactly the energy you put out. And different people have come into my life who have taught me different things, from shamans to holistic, like diet people, to just all sorts of different. I actually have 2 friends who are Hare Krishnas, and they're like punk rock, but they're Hare Krishnas, and I like picking their brain and learning about that a little bit, and so it's just being honest and open to almost everything. And there's a great quote by Dr. Wayne Dyer. It says, "Be open to everything and attached to nothing." And I love that, because I am open to, I'll listen to a Satanist talk, because I know there's a nugget of information that's going to make me a better person to listen to them talk. And so it's just been an evolution. And then people ask me how I did it, and I'll turn them on to a book, or turn them on to this or that, and say, this started me down that rabbit hole, man. This is what started it. And I just kept going, and it has just been such a blessing, from physically, mentally, spiritually, being in a pretty good place, and emotionally being able to control those emotions, and it really, it's just the beginning. I just turned 50, like, what, a month ago. And most people can't. They're like, you ain't 50, dude. I'm like, yeah, I just turned 50. And I said, so I'm halfway there, because I'm going to live to be 100. I know that. And so I've lived half my life. I've experienced some pretty cool shit. And now we got another 50 years. I can't even imagine what is coming. Absolutely. But I just take it one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time. And I try to live in this moment right now. And I think that's a big part of it as well.
Absolutely. I want to give Tyler a shout out from South Dakota. He says he's watching from Mitchell, South Dakota, 220 days sober today, 1 day at a time. Congratulations, brother. Congratulations. Yeah. So you said something interesting in that about attachment. I've learned a lot about pain. Recently in the last couple of years, I've learned a lot about pain and how it affects me. And what it boils down for me and my perspective is that it's not a situation or person that's bad. It's my thoughts about that. It's my attachments to those feelings that make it bad. My perception of these things. Does that ring true for you as well?
Oh yeah, and the quote that you can remember for that is, there's no good or bad, there just is.
There is.
And I like that one, because it's true.
Mm-hmm.
No, there is no good or bad, there just is. It is what it is.
It's your thoughts about it. It's your attachment to those feelings that you have that make something good or bad.
Yeah. And I mean, that is huge. That, when it doesn't work all the time, but like I was saying earlier, when I give gratitude for some of the challenging situations in my life, because it teaches me. It might be teaching me humility, or it might be teaching me whatever, how to deal with that situation, and everything is a learning experience. There's another great one. I love the one-liners. Like, I love Wayne Dyer, because he has books of one-liners, but like fail, the word fail. Some people have it as first attempt in learning. Mm-hmm. Fail. And I had a hard time prior to getting sober. I saw my whole life as a failure. And most people would look at my resume, because at that point I'd been pretty successful on a few different things. But I saw it as a failure because I set the bar so high and I didn't reach it. So I looked at it as failure. You're a pro skateboarder. You weren't top 10 in the world as a pro, failure. If you wrote a book, it's not a New York Times bestseller, failure. You were a good hockey player, but you didn't make it to the pros, failure. Like, that was my view of all of it. And sobriety, the biggest thing for me in sobriety is I learned to love myself. Mm-hmm. And I can look in the mirror and say, I love you, and mean it. And I'm comfortable in my own skin. And I hadn't had that in 45 years.
I feel that. What was I going to say? When you're battling those self-defeating negative thoughts, how we talk to ourselves is important, right? How, using affirmations and whatnot. And I like to use the word yet. That could have negative connotations, or positive. I haven't gotten a New York Times bestseller yet. Yet stands for you're entitled to.
Oh, I love that. And I will tell you, I'll give you a tip too. I was doing some work about a year ago, because I love Yet. I love it now. And I found a stack of Yeti stickers, and I cut the eyes off of all of them. And I started putting Yet on my skateboards.
Beautiful.
People be like, I can't do that trick. I'm like, Yet. Yeah. And that's that's very powerful.
That leaves the door open for possibility.
Good or bad.
Opportunity, good and bad. If you're not an alcoholic yet, you're entitled to.
Right. I like the you're entitled to. I never heard that before. I'm gonna have to mental note. I like that a lot.
Brian Perokovich, June 13th, 2011, by the grace of God and my sponsor. Stay in with both feet. Congratulations, Brian. Brian's up here close to where I am in Wisconsin. We need to get together, Brian. I think I'm going to come when Matt Traver gives his lead. I'm going to come over and hang out with you guys for the night, all right? So take us for a walk down memory lane. Where does Garold Vallie come from? How did you become G Vallie, the professional skateboarder, motivator? Gee whiz, the full package deal that you are now. Where did it all start?
I was born in southeastern Michigan, about 20 minutes south of Detroit, in a little town called Rouge. And side note, my ancestors, the Detroit River was a big thing during Prohibition. People running booze across the river, and my ancestors were rum runners down in the Rouge. And I ended up living in a little town called Riverview for up until I was 21. You know, typical. You know, I was ice hockey. I was a
rum runner. Sound like Prohibition people.
Huh?
Rum runner sounds like somebody from the Prohibition days.
That's exactly what they were. Like my uncle Squirt Valley was down there in the 20s running booze across to Canada, back and forth.
I love you, Sarah Jane from New Zealand. I love you.
Nice. I want to visit there one day.
Me too. But yeah, recovery has given me an opportunity to make connections all over the world. People that struggle just like me, have the same goals, have the same zest for life. And it's just this recovery community is amazing.
Well, and what's rad, Higgy, is when you do, you know, in the beginning, it's scary and it's terrifying and it's, you know, sobriety for me anyway. You know, walking into that first meeting, I was terrified. And the people that I have since created friendships with, we wouldn't have it if it wasn't for recovery. Like we would have never met. And they're some of the best friends in my life now. And we have regular conversations. That's the, you know, you were talking about the spirituality side of things. I ended up really gravitating towards refuge recovery with Noah Levine, and Buddhism and the 12 steps helped me a ton. Mm-hmm. And
that's refuge recovery, right?
Yep. And Noah's a rad dude. You know, I mean, punk rocker from the 80s. You know, we had a lot of common interests, and that helped me a lot. But also, it went together with the things that I was studying at the time. You know, and continue to study. But the recovery community is so rad. Like if I found like every once in a while, you know, I'll put up an actual sober specific quote on like only people in recovery would know that's where it came from.
Sure.
And some of the coolest people will privately reach out and be like, no way, Garold, you know, I've been sober 2 years. I've been sober 40 years. I've been sober, you know, and friendships come from that. And there's power, man. Like, I think there's a lot of power when you create relationships with people who are solid in their recovery. There's nothing like that, because you know that they have been through some of the worst shit you can possibly go through, and it shows in their personality and their gratitude and their humility. Recovery has taught me that, and I see a lot of the similar qualities in other folks as I continue down this path.
Absolutely. Janet McClanahan, 52318, Orange, Texas. COD meth, we do recover one day at a time. You're right, Janet. I do appreciate you being here. Always, I really appreciate and I love having you in the comments. Paul Martinez, was Higgy and recovery watching all the way from Quincy, Washington, 6/9/19, just hit 3 years, 3 months, and 26 days clean from a bad meth addiction. Congratulations, Paul. That's the juice right there. That's the juice, man.
It's so rad. It is so rad. You know, I brought up Jeff Schill. I think you know Jeff Schill down in Port
Colorado.
Yeah, I do. You know, I mean, he's got freaking hip detail going. He's running his company. He's got other people in recovery working for him. He's doing a bunch at the sober house. And I mean, this is a dude, He's been
Making
to
a
the ringer,
difference.
man.
Yeah, he's making a difference.
Big difference. And anytime we do events up here, I know you and I are, and some other folks are talking about doing a skateboard event, a recovery event. Whenever we do events up here, we always end up raising $200, $300, $400 for Lighthouse Recovery, man.
We're gonna do this probably by next summer. We're gonna have that skate park event. It's gonna be awesome, man. Awesome. Get some kids in there, get some seminars going, get some speakers, get some punk rock music going. Sober is the new punk rock, right?
That's the new shirt I was printing. Anybody want that shirt? I should have it on right now. I started printing them in my basement. It's this Purple Heart is my clothing company, and it's totally DIY punk style. And I made some shirts, and that's all it says. Sober is the new punk rock, and it says Purple Heart on the bottom. I hand print them in my basement. $20. I'll ship them anywhere, and I print them as they come in.
Our buddy Denny Wilson's in the comments as Facebook user. Well, when I seen Akron, Ohio show up, 5/21/95. What bad math? Is that 27, 28 years?
What, 95? That'd be 27.
27.
Denny rules. Denny, I'm so stoked you're watching.
Dope healer, Denny Wilson. Oh man, I can see his name on my my phone feed, but not on this platform. I don't know why that is, but
you know, we did a little thing, Higgy, when I in February for my 5 years sober. We had I just said I want to have a celebration about Stoke, about life, and we rented out the skate park, and just all different walks of life came out just to freaking have a good time and skate. And Denny came out and brought his tent, brought some books. I mean, Denny is an amazing human, and he come up to Detroit from down in Ohio and hung out with us on that day, and it was just a wonderful time, and it was just. You know, it's rad to be able to celebrate life, that we're still alive and we're here.
That's right. So some people are like, I don't want to celebrate my birthday anymore. My birthday's Friday, and I want to celebrate. I haven't celebrated a birthday in God knows how long. You know, since my early childhood probably. And I'm gonna have a little get together, have some cake. I'm just grateful for life. You know, I'm gonna be another year older. I'm a tad bit older than you. But I think we wear it well.
You know, skateboarding for me is a fountain of youth, man. But I'm still like 14. You know, I still draw pictures in a sketchbook, play my drums, ride my skateboard. If I get an opportunity, I'll try anything, man. Wakeboard and snowboard, just to experience life. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Nicole, she's a good friend of mine up here in Wisconsin now. She wants us to have a motocross X Game style event. I would like to do that as well. We get Scummy Morrison to come out, and Andy Roy and some of the guys from Jackass. This thing will be lit, bro. It'll be live all the way around.
Probably give Andy a call. He might get something going there.
That'd be great. So back to your history. Just take us briefly through what your bottom looked like. I know we all have a story, but in comparison to who you are today, I want people to get a good look at who you were in comparison to the man they're looking at and talking to today.
Well, I got divorced. And I had started drinking about a year before that. Got divorced, and it was off to the races. I bought my own house, and my cat wasn't going to tell me to quit drinking. And so, and I had money in the bank, and had a good job. Was keeping it afloat for a little bit, and ended up not. I quit showing up to the job, and 3/5 a day. Almost every day. I was a shell of who I am right now. I was all bloated. You know, I was probably 10 pounds heavier than I am now. I'd be crawling up the steps to go to bed. I'd wake up only long enough to get to the liquor store and get more. And then I'd like stay. It was crazy because I would have these little glimpses of sobriety. And so I'd stay sober like 2 weeks. And in the beginning, I was still in pretty good shape. So I'd stay sober and I would go do some cool things. You know, I'd go run a triathlon, or I would do some nice stuff for some kids, or do a speaking engagement and be like, see, I did good shit. I can have a half pint right today.
It's a reward, right?
Totally. And then 2 weeks later, towards the end, I'd be calling my mom and I'd be like, Ma, I think I need to go to the hospital. My chest doesn't feel good. And, you know, it was because I was dying, because my heart was stopping. And then the doctor would say, you know, I can't believe you're not in a coma or dead. And 2 weeks
Didn't you say they took your blood and tested like 70 proof?
It was seriously, it was 40 proof. It was 40% vodka the one time. But
wow.
But it ended up, you know, I ended up in an insane asylum for about a week, 3 stints in a great rehab facility. And I went there and did what I do. You know, I went there and I sobered up and I did better homework than everybody. I was, you know, everybody's friend. I was doing all
the model. You were the model patient.
Yep. And within a month of getting out of there, I'd be right back to it. And
was that because of the structure there or the environment? Because I'm a structured guy. When I'm in treatment, or when I was in prison, I was a model prisoner. You know, I didn't want no trouble. I did what they asked. I didn't want to face the consequences. You know, in treatment, I'm that guy. You know, I want to sponsor guys, take guys through through the steps and just the craziness of it all.
I'm a people pleaser, man. So, like, I mean, my whole life, I did real cool stuff and overachieved so other people could tell me how cool I was, because I couldn't do it for myself. And in recovery, in the beginning, I was still that person. So I would go and do cooler, you know, the best homework possible for for our classes. And I would be playing baseball and I'd be everybody's friend and I'd be doing all that kind of good stuff. But, you know, in each time it was a little different, but still the same. You know, sometimes people would big time me in there and they're like, aren't you Garold Vallie? And I'm like, yeah, I'm here for the same reason you are, man. You know, but no, it was just, I got sick of, ironically, I got sober on February 2nd, 2017, and it's Groundhog's Day. And I got sick of living the same life over and over and over again. Many people ask me, they're like, what was it? What got you sober? Like, what was it? And, you know, in AA, they talk about the moment of clarity. They talk about, you know, I don't know, divine intervention, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. I walked in the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I'm like, you know, if we're going to do this, let's do it now. Let's kill ourselves now, because that's what you're doing. And if we're not going to do that, let's find a way out of this. And that's what it took. I got goosebumps on my whole body just saying it right now, because at that moment, I decided I would do whatever I had to do to stay sober. I didn't want to live like this anymore. And I always use the analogy, if somebody would have told me I had to crawl on glass to Antarctica to stay sober, I would have got on my hands and knees and fucking crawled on glass to Antarctica, because it's working for them. And I didn't know what to do.
Right.
And at that point, I would do anything.
Clueless. That's a horrible place to be in, when you want to change and you just don't know how. And you've come to the realization that I am just not cut out to do this by myself. I don't have the tools. I don't have the mindset. I don't have the belief in myself that I can quit drinking, quit doing drugs, whatever it is. And I'm going to be doing this the rest of my life if I don't find another way.
Right. I would have been dead. I like today as we sit here, I know in my heart that if I get done with this phone call and I go to the liquor store and get a half pint, what is today? Wednesday? I will be dead by Friday. I know it without any reservation. I know it. And I don't want to be dead.
That's right. You get too much going for yourself in life. For me, I found myself in moments of self-sabotage, you know, the self-doubt. How did you overcome your self-doubt and tap into that unconscious part of your brain that we were talking about earlier?
It's just time. It's time and knowing that as on those tough days, that I can pick up the phone and call somebody. When I'm doubting myself, I can call you. I can call Denny. I can call Jeff Schill. I have a whole host of numbers I can call. I can, I can reach out to somebody even in my own city probably and find somewhere. I know where every meeting is. I'm not even that big of a meeting guy, but I know where every meeting is. And when I do have those doubts, but I think that for me, it with time, I never got overconfident, but I knew as my routine became automatic, and I'm a very routine orientated person. And so as my routine became just what it is today, and daily I'm talking with sober people, and if it's just, hey, what's going on, Shill? How you doing? We skating this weekend or whatever. But there's always somebody, a conversation every day about sobriety or something. And then the other thing I do is like the t-shirt, sober is the new punk rock. I have a hat that says choose recovery. And I can confidently walk out the door and wear those hats because I don't like being hypocritical, and I like to be a man of my word. And so those kinds of things. And I mean, I have the Serenity Prayer hanging in my living room. I look at Ganesh, my prints of Ganesh on the walls, and that the god of overcoming obstacles is the elephant Hindu god Ganesha, and that's why that means so much to me. All of those things remind me of sobriety and that I could give it all away in a minute. And I watched actually a wonderful friend of mine. We've been together 5 years. He had some trouble at the beginning of summer and almost gave everything away, all of it, in about a month.
It happens quick, man. It really does.
And I don't want to go through that. I don't want to go through that again.
No.
Even doing the right things, it's sometimes tough enough. I don't want to sabotage myself and make it any more challenging than it can sometimes be.
So I agree with you 1,000% on that. I think the real gift in this is being able to live in the present moment, enjoying each day and realizing the past and the past and the future, they don't exist. That all we are allotted is this 12-hour time frame right here, right now, and we need to make the most of it.
You are exactly correct. And our past, again, Dr. Wayne Dyer says, the wake doesn't drive the boat. And I love that quote. The wake
doesn't drive the boat. It's true.
And it's such a wonderful quote. And that's the truth, and if you don't, for me, like I'll still talk about like my past if it's apropos, but I don't need it to be who I am today.
It's just a point of reference, right?
If it's going to make a point, if somebody wants to talk about my skateboarding or, hockey career or those things, that's fine. But that, and I still get to do a lot of that stuff, but that, why look in the rearview mirror? That's not the way I'm going, man. Absolutely. Like I'm going forward. And so for me, it's day to day, living on my laurels every day, and being the person that I've worked hard to be, but being that person every day for so long, especially when I was drinking, I could publicly be this one person, very similar to who I am today, but I would go and lock the door and drink to blackout every night. And I hid that for a number of years till I couldn't anymore. And I love Batman. Batman's still my favorite comic book character, but I was living like a Batman life, like this negative view of myself at night, trying to drink it to death and be an escape from it, but really trying to kill myself. And then publicly still trying to hold up this facade that I'm this guy. And eventually, as we all know, you get to a point where you can't do that, and it's going to kill you. And now I can be the same person 24 hours a day. I can sit at night and say, I dig what you did today. I dig who you are right now. And tomorrow we, God willing, we'll have another opportunity at life tomorrow.
Absolutely. I mean, being able to look at yourself in the mirror is so underrated. You know what I mean? Because
Yep.
there's so many times I would brush my teeth and have my head down. I didn't want to look at myself. I didn't comb my hair, and I rarely shaved. And if I didn't look myself in the eyes. I just didn't recognize myself. I was disgusted. That being able to look at yourself in the mirror, and people don't take affirmations for as powerful as they can be. To be able to look at yourself and speak to yourself with love and sincerity is another powerful tool that I've come to use as well. Because I'm prone to negative talk, negative self-talk. I call myself names. I sell myself short. I don't take advantage of the opportunities because of fear. And I believe that the affirmations and speaking to myself like someone that I love has made a difference for me.
Yeah. And even the little, I'm still working on it, like eliminating certain words. Like I'll say, oh yeah, this little company I run, or I'll say, I'm just a little punk rocker from downriver, Michigan. Well, like that's like self-deprecating. Yeah, I'm little in stature. I'm only 5'6", and I am from downriver, so it's sort of true. But those little, when you're taking jabs at yourself, I used to see it as like that was me being humble or that's humility, but not necessarily, because a lot of times we believe that shit, and we really do. And I even tried to eliminate some of that stuff. Eliminate the word just. I've been really working hard on eliminating the word difficult, and I say challenging now. Because it's not difficult. It's a challenge, but I'll get through it. And changing the way we talk about ourselves is so huge and underrated.
Underrated for sure. So there's a lot of different ways I want to go with this, but I'd like to talk about your writing. You have a book published, and you have another one coming out. Where in your busy schedule, where do you find time to create that? And what was your motivation for doing that?
Well, thank you for the question. And the first book I wrote was in 2012. I had been speaking to middle schools and high schools, so I wrote it for teens and young adults. And even at that time, I thought personal accountability was at an all-time low. So the book is really to teach young kids about personal accountability. But you ask about where I find time, you're going to crack up, because ever since I wrote that first book, people are like, you need to write the adult version of this book. And in November of last year, I made the decision. I'm like, I'm writing this book. And like I said, I'm a creature of routine. So I made a deal with myself that every day at 7 o'clock, I would sit down and write 1,000 words. And
1,000 words. Holy crap.
but some days it was 700. Some days it was 1,100. Some days it was never 1,000 all the time. But every day at 7 o'clock, I would sit down and write. And I had 2 or 3 chapters going at a time. So whatever I was vibing, that's what I would write about. And I had the book written and edited by the end of January. And it's not a big book. It's 73 pages. Each chapter can be read in 15, 20 minutes. It's called DIFY, Do It For Yourself, A Simple Guide to Living the Life You Deserve. And the book talks about the things that have helped me as I've learned from other mentors, from life situations, from different things that have worked for me, from a solid morning ritual to little things you can do to build self-esteem, things you can do to build self-worth. I talk about my battle with vodka here and there throughout the book, but it's not necessarily a recovery book. But I do talk about that because the biggest blessing in my life, I'll say it again, I fucking fell in love with who I am when I got sober. The biggest blessing I've ever gotten in my life was that. And I wouldn't wish the hell that we go through, I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Sure.
But coming out the other side, it's like I'm a whole different person inside. Internally, I'm a completely different person in the way I look at myself, the way I feel about myself, the way I talk about myself. Still very humble, and every day work starts out with how may I serve, because that's the key, is service to others. But I can get home and feel good about the day and who I am. And I'll tell you another great thing. Affirmations are rad. There's a lady named Mel Robbins, and I learned this from her. Giving yourself a high five in the mirror in the morning. We high five everybody else. We never high five ourselves. And if you high five yourself in the mirror in the morning and you're like, dude, you got this. It's so powerful. And it seems dumb. A lot of people might be like watching us shaking their head going, that seems stupid. Try it. Try it, because there's something about that, giving yourself a high five, man. It's a pretty cool little thing. I do it every morning.
I may have to try that. I'm at this phase of my life where I'm trying everything. I want to see what certain things are, what their value for me is, if it has any value at all, because I'm looking for all the tools that I can find that's going to make my life the best that it can be. So I can be the very best version of myself. I want to keep leveling up and live a 2.0 life.
Well, you know what, Higgy? Sometime in the next few days, text me over your address where you're at now, and I'll send you a couple copies of my new book, because I think you'll really enjoy it.
I will.
I wrote it a lot like the way I talk. And so it's very personable. Actually, I was doing an event a few weeks ago for cystic fibrosis, raising some money for cystic fibrosis. And one of the ladies was there, and I had a couple books I was giving away, and she read part of the first chapter, and she just ordered 10 of them for her. She takes care of adults with cystic fibrosis. And she was like, you know what? This is written so comfortably, like a conversation with some really cool lessons. Can I get 10 of those for my clients?
Nice.
And I'm like, yeah, you know, I wanted it to be easy. You can pick it up, read a chapter in 15, 20 minutes, and you don't have to pick it up again for a year. You don't have to remember anything, because each chapter can stand alone, or you can read it cover to cover in about 2 hours, and it could be life-changing. There could be one thing in there that's going to change your life. And, you know, in the next 2 weeks, I think it'll be available finally online through Dorrance Publishing, all over, you know, Amazon, Google, all that stuff. But I wrote it because I love to read, but I don't like to sit down for 2 hours and read. I like to sit down for 20 minutes, half hour, get a good point, you know, get something that's going to benefit my life, and then move on. And so that's why I tried to put this book together. And I already got the next one ready to go. Like, but seriously, it was a routine, man. It was totally a routine. I'm going to write every day, almost every day at 7:00. I sat down and wrote, and then I had a friend, and I would send it to him via Google Docs, and he did the editing for me. And it was just setting my mind to it. I'm going to get this book done. And when I'm done with it, I'm done. I didn't know how many pages it would be, how long it would be, how long it would take. I just knew when I was done, I'd be done. And I'm very stoked on the way it came out.
That's awesome. So are you're firing up your podcast again too, right?
Yeah, you know, we I was doing it out of a studio here in Detroit at Woodward Sports Network, and I was the only non-sports show at the network. And I was on the road for a while, and when I got back, they were doing some restructuring and doing some things, and so I'm actually we're still in talks. Either I'm going to end up doing it out of my basement studio, or the original studio I used to broadcast out, NRM New Radio Media, has been stayed in contact with me. And through COVID, they shut down and moved. And it looks like I'm going to be moving back to NRM. And the show will be back through NRMstreamcast.com. And, you know, it's just, I love doing the show. Similar to the reasons you do this. My show isn't completely about recovery, but it's about people's stories and how they got where they started and where they ended up. But right before I left to go out of town on August 22nd, I had people booked until November just to talk about recovery. And we were doing, you can find them out right now on my YouTube channel. I think you can find 3 or 4 that we did before I left to go out of town. And they are every different kind of story. Like, one was my buddy Bill, and he talks about his journey to sobriety. The second one, I think it was Pete Canetta, and he had never had a problem, but he was married to an alcoholic for 12 years. And he talks about getting his kids into programs and helping them. And it's a really cool story. I had Jeff Schill and Jared Cook on the show, and they talked about their journey. I mean, both of them, you know, prison and felonies and where they're at now. And once we get set up back at NRM, I'd let all my guests know as soon as I get back up and running, we will continue doing the recovery shows because they're so important. And if we can touch one life, just one life, man.
Absolutely.
If we can touch
Absolutely.
one person.
Absolutely, because you and I and many other people that are watching have witnessed those people that were truly hopeless, right? They were just, and they weren't functioning. They were unemployable. They didn't, you know, present themselves with any amount of self-respect or dignity, and to have them put down drinks, drugs, gambling, what other self-sabotaging behavior, and enter a life in recovery, a new version of themselves emerges, right? It's like that the phoenix, you know, the beautiful bird, you know, being born out of flame, ashes, and whatnot, being reborn. That's what recovery is. And I've seen so many people achieve their goals and attain dreams that they never thought possible. They didn't even have the confidence to dream, to want better for themselves. They may have felt, you know, internally it's that, you know, I meant for more, but I don't know how to get there. Recovery presents that opportunity for us to get in touch with who we are, who we are at our core, who our genuine, authentic selves are, and that's such a powerful thing.
And it's, you know, again, I'll say, you know, you're doing it for you. You know, it's probably for some of us, you know, it's the biggest, the most challenging hurdle we will ever face in our lives, getting sober. And when you do it for you, it changes your life. It changes your life because no matter what challenge is in front of you, you've already made it through the worst life can throw at you. Even though we choose that life at a certain point, we chose that road. But I used to, when the success rate was like single digits, I think it was about 10 years, not even 10 years ago, not that long ago, the success rate of most recovery programs was, I mean, low, like under 10%. And now I think it's up to like 16 or 18, depending on where you look. But I would explain to people who are new or even veterans in recovery, I'd say, you know, you got about a 6% chance of being a musician on stage. You got about a 4% chance of being a professional athlete. You have about an 11% chance of being a CEO, and you know, you had about a 9% chance of being successful in recovery, and here we are. We're in the same freaking it should be in the same conversation as the rock stars, the CEOs, and the professional athletes, because that's the percentage they were given us of being successful, and here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Here we are. So you've been traveling the country. What was your purpose? What was the goal from what you were doing? You were doing skateboarding events, right? Or speaking?
Actually, none of the above. And I'll tell you why. There's an organization called the AGA, the Adrenaline Games Alliance, that I helped start in 2007. And we parted ways about 2008, 2009, because my partner at the time wanted to go a different direction than I wanted to. I wanted to do like contests around the Midwest. He wanted to do high school assemblies. So we amicably parted ways. And we've been friends throughout. He still does BMX shows at high schools. And he asked me if I would be willing to go on tour. And at first he's like, I wouldn't mind you doing some announcing, but I really would like you to almost be like a team manager, but also be the guy that talks to the sponsors, the military, the schools. Like I was like that guy while they were doing the show. And I loved it. I loved it. I loved not being the star. I really enjoyed meeting new people, making sure everything goes smooth. I love being on the road, so that's just a no-brainer.
Me too.
I wasn't sure how I was going to take it at first if I wasn't the guy on the mic or the guy on the course. And I really enjoyed myself. And I do believe we're going to do some more, because he was like, as soon as we get a national contract, I would love for you to be out there with the team, because, you know, the recruiters loved you, the students loved you, you know, I love meeting people. I love being engaged with people. I love learning about people, and they get that. They understand that I'm actually interested in who they are and what their life is like. And so I had a wonderful time on that trip. And then as soon as I got home, I actually went to Buffalo, New York. Robbie, I never get his last name, like Tekis. Anyway, he's the bass player from the Goo Goo Dolls, a very famous band. He does an event in Buffalo, which was out of control. 22 stages, circus sideshows, all kinds of crazy crap going on. And we towed a mobile half pipe out there to the event, set it up. Anybody could skate it. I got to work with a bunch of little kids. I got to meet new friends. It was such a rad weekend. And then last weekend I was announcing an event in Detroit, you know, a skateboard event. So I like finding my way. How may I serve? Where do I fit in? You want me to sweep the parking lot? You know, you want me to announce on the mic? You want me to do some skateboard tricks? It doesn't matter. I like being a part of all of it and the experience in life.
Absolutely. Oh, that reminds me. I want to throw this picture up real quick.
Is it a naked penguin? Asking for a friend. Oh yeah, there he is.
This is your picture, and I just added your quote to it for you. I don't need to escape from anything. I want to experience every inch of this thing called life. Garold,
it's the truth, man. And I got to tell you a cool story about that picture. When I turned 40, I'm like, when I'm 40, I want to be able to do inverts. That's an invert or a hand plant. I'm like, when I'm 40, I want to be able to do inverts in a big bowl. And there's a picture. When I turned 40, I went and did that trick in that bowl. And so at 50, I'm like, I want to do inverts. And 2 weeks ago, I finally got the opportunity on a bowl or a ramp that's 3 foot deeper than that. The ramp's 13 foot high. And I posted a picture up about a week ago of me doing that trick on that ramp at 50. And so now at 60, man, 60, I want to do inverts. But it's true. You know, that quote rings so true today. I love experience in life, man. If it's going to a festival, if it's like on a rope swing into a lake, if it's freaking whatever it is, if it's hot yoga, if it's a sweat lodge, if it, you know, I look forward to experiencing things that I've never had an opportunity to yet, and do it soberly, because I'll remember it. And
absolutely,
I love that. I love it.
Absolutely. Well, we're coming up on the hour. Is there anything else you want to touch on that we might have overlooked? You know,
I just want to thank you again for having me on, Higgy. Anybody watching, you know, if you got any questions, anything, you can reach out through Facebook, Instagram. I do my best to answer anything that comes in through there. You know, like or follow what I'm doing. The book's coming out. The podcast will be back up and running. And who knows what I'll get into next. You know, maybe I'll get into basket weaving or, you know, growing toenails. I don't know. You know, I don't worry about it. Just whatever comes, it's going to come, and I'll try to make the best of it. So just thank you so much. Thank you for everybody watching, either live or on the, you know, when it gets replayed. And hopefully we can do this again, brother.
You know, we're definitely going to do it again. But he was saying reach out to him. He does reach back. That's how we met on Instagram. I started seeing his posts. He had an injury, and he started. You know, I didn't know at the time, but I started interacting with him, and I asked him, "Are you in recovery?" And he said, "Yes, I am." You had broken your lower leg or ankle or something, didn't you?
And I got to tell you about that real quick, because I broke it on June 21st, and they did surgery 2 days later. I broke the little bone right in half. 3 weeks after that, the doctor said, "Oh, I forgot. I didn't see this, but you shattered some pieces in the big bone. He had to go back in and put some screws in there." And he finally told me, he said, "You might be walking by the end of October." again, this is the beginning of July, through meditation, through talking to my body, through like visualizing workouts. August 27th, he cut my cast off and he's like, I don't know what you do there, Garold, but you can walk right now, man. And I said, what about physical therapy? And he, not sure what you do, man, but you don't even need it. And it was through the power of mind that I healed almost 2 months ahead of schedule. And again, never look back, man. But yeah, you know, the way you think, as you think, so shall you be. That means the way you talk to yourself, the way you think about the world, your perspective on everything. It will dictate a lot in your life. And if you can sort of figure out a way to have a positive perspective, even when the things are a little challenging, life-changing.
Absolutely. Perspective, bro. Perspective.
Yep. But
thank you, Garold, for jumping on here, taking the time. It's always a pleasure to speak with you, to talk to you, and actually see you. It's pretty awesome. I'm looking forward. I'm going to be leaving Florida. I'm moving back to the Midwest to be closer to my son. I'll be closer to you. I'll be closer to everyone that I love, and it'll be advantageous for me to be centrally located, anyways. But to be close to all you guys in the Midwest is going to be such a beautiful thing for me. And
yeah, it's only going to be like 2-3 hours or so to meet at the halfway point, man. So we're going to be seeing more of each other.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for all the love in the comments, and you guys' love on each other. I love that as much as I love interviewing and catching these stories and the feedback and the inspiration. I love how you guys love each other in the comments and support each other. Garold's podcast is The Drop-In, and that's available on which platforms?
You can actually find all the new episodes on YouTube, but if you look up like Garold Vallie, The Drop-In, there's a bunch more all over the place. I done a total of, I think we're up to 312 shows now total. And you can find the different versions of them on most podcasting platforms and on YouTube.
Okay, and the name of your book again is
DIFY, Do It For Yourself.
DIFY, Do It For Yourself, and that's available where?
It's not available yet. About 2 weeks, it'll be available everywhere. Kindle, freaking Amazon, all that stuff.
I'm sending you this address now, so I'd love to read it. I'd love to be able to give a couple copies away. Leave it here at the center that I'm working at right now.
I'll send you a half dozen of them, Higgy.
Beautiful, my man. I love you guys. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you again, Garold. Tomorrow at 11:30 Central Standard Time, 12:30 right afternoon Eastern Standard Time. I have national recording artist Arizona Lindsay. She's also a mental health advocate. So I hope you all will tune in for that. Catch the replay, share it out. She's amazing talent. Garold, again, thank you very much. Thank you guys for being here. I love you. Keep your head up, guys.
Thanks,
We're out.